Hello, today we are moving on to solve absolute value equations. So remember, absolute value are straight lines we like to think of as our shower door. Whatever goes in the shower has to come out clean. So it doesn't matter what you put in here, whatever comes out has to be clean or positive. You could put a negative or a positive number in the shower and it would have to come out clean because your shower is going to wash everything off. So the math way of talking about this is that the absolute value is what's called the distance from zero. Anytime you measure a distance, whether it's your shoe size or your height, we always talk about positive distances. You never say that you ran -3 miles. You say you ran a positive 3 miles, or your shoe size is 8, or your height is 5 foot 6 inches. Everything is positive, so we count distance from 0 as positive. So if it's 4, the distance from 4 to 0 is 4. The distance from -4 to 0 is also 4. Meaning that I could put a -4 or a positive 4 in the absolute value and it would come out a positive because we counted the distance, which is a positive number. So think on this example down here. What could I put in the shower to come out a positive 15? Well, I could put in here a -15, or I could plug in a positive 15. So what that's telling me is that x could equal a -15 or x could equal a positive 15. We have two answers. Anytime you have absolute value, these straight lines, you're going to have two answers because there's two ways to get 15 counting towards 0. You could start at -15 and count to 0, or you could start at positive 15 and count to 0. So let's take a look at the next one. This one, whoopsies, I'm going to cover up what's inside our absolute value for a second. Anything that goes in here has to come out and be equal to 8. Well, what could go in my shower? I could have a positive 8 or a -8 go in the shower and come out clean. So I'm going to write two equations, one that's equal to a -8 and one that's equal to a positive 8. And what I'm going to set them equal to is whatever's in here, because x minus 3 could be equal to positive 8, or it could be equal to a -8. So I just simply have two equations that I need to solve. One with the negative and one with the positive. So the only way I can get x by itself is the opposite of subtract 3, which is adding 3. So I would have x equals -8 plus 3, there's more negatives, it's a -5. And same thing here, add 3 to get x by itself. And I get x equal to 11. So my two answers, they're not always going to be the same number. One's -5 and one's positive 11. Because if we plug those numbers in here for x, well, let's try -5. A -5 minus 3 will give me -8. Absolute value in the shower, absolute value of -8 comes out positive 8. That's correct. We could also plug in 11, our other answer. If I plug in 11, 11 minus 3 is 8. Absolute value of 8 is 8, so we know it works. Let's try another one. We need to figure out what can we plug in here to get it equal to 9. Well, whatever's in here could be equal to -9 or it could be equal to a positive 9. So I'm going to write two equations, one with a negative and one equal to a positive. So I would have r minus 7 equal to a -9 and r minus 7 equal to a positive 9. Because this whole piece right here could be a -9 or a positive 9 in order to come out clean or positive. So the opposite of subtracting 7 is just adding 7. So I have r equals, well, -9 plus 7, there's more negatives. There's two more negatives. R equals 2. And same thing here, add 7. We get r equal to, well, 9 plus 7 more should give me 16. So those are my two answers. Again, you can double check them back up here. You can plug them in. -2 minus 7 is -9. So the absolute value of -9 would be 9. Comes out clean. Same thing with 16. 16 minus 7 is 9. Comes out clean. Here's one. Whatever is in our absolute value here, this could be equal to a negative 16 to come out clean, or it could be equal to a positive 16 to come out clean. So I'm going to write 1 with the negative, 2x equal to a negative 16, and 2x equal to a positive 16. So just get rid of that 2, divide by 2. And I have x equal to a negative 16 divided by 2 is 8. And then same thing here, divide by 2. 16 divided by 2 here is a positive 8. This one just happened to be the same number, but if you notice, it's not always going to be the same number. And again, double check it if you'd like. Plug it in for x to see if it works. Alright, flip over to the back side. Alright, this one, same thing here. Anything that's in here could be equal to a positive 15 or a negative 15 because it's inside the absolute value. It will come out clean or positive. So whatever's in here, I'm going to set 1 equal to positive 15 and 1 equal to negative 15. So I'm just going to leave space for 2 inequalities. I have one that says 4x plus 1 equal to a negative 15, and the other 4x plus 1 equal to a positive 15. I'm always writing the 1 equal to a negative first because it will help us on our next lesson. So we need x by itself. The opposite of adding 1 is subtracting 1. So those eliminate, and I have 4x. Same sign, add and keep. Negative 15 minus 1 is negative 16. And then divide by 4 on both sides. We get x equal to, and then 16 divided by 4 is 4, but it's a negative. And then here as well, get rid of your addition or subtraction first. I'm going to subtract 1. I get 4x equal to 15 minus 1 is 14. Divide by 4 on both sides. We get x equals, 14 divided by 4 is not going to be a very nice number. I know 4 times 3 is 12, so it goes in at least 3 times. That would give us 12. Well, there's 2 extra numbers left. 2 out of 4 left over would be 2/4 or 1/2. You put 3.5. Or you could just plug 14 divided by 4 into your calculator. Again, if you're not sure if you got an answer that makes sense, plug it back in for x. Multiply 4 times whatever x is, add 1, and then take the absolute value, and it should equal 15. This one is a little bit different. Notice all the ones we've done so far just have absolute value equal to a number. Absolute value equal to a number. This one has 3 times the absolute value equal to a number. Well, in order to do 2 equations, we need our absolute value by itself because our shower is what we need all by itself because anything that goes in the shower comes out clean. So over here, on this one, there's a 3 outside of our shower that we have to get rid of. So the opposite of multiplying by 3, first we need to get rid of that by dividing by 3. Dividing by 3. 3 divided by 3 goes away. So here we have our absolute value still equal to 18 divided by 3 is 6. So notice now this looks like this type of problem with our absolute value all by itself. There's no other numbers attached to this absolute value. Now I can write my 2 equations because this could go in our shower, come out clean, or it could be a negative in here, and then the absolute value would make it a positive. So we need to set 2x minus 2 equal to a negative 6, and 2x minus 2 equal to a positive 6. Again, this piece right here, anything that goes in here comes out clean. So that's why we set 1 equal to the negative 6 right here, and 1 equal to the positive 6. Had to get our shower by itself first. Oops, come on, there we go. So let's just solve both. Get rid of your negative 2 first. I'm going to add 2. We have 2x. And then negative 6 plus 2, there's more negatives. 6 minus 2 is 4, so it's positive 4. Then the opposite of multiplying by 2 is divide by 2. We get x equal to a negative 4 divided by 2 is 2. Same thing here. I need to add 2 on both sides. So 2 minus 2 is 0. That goes away. I have 2x. And 6 plus 2 is 8. And then divide by 2 on both sides. X should equal 8 divided by 2, which is 4. Alright, we have one page left, I believe. Yep. These ones also, we need to get rid of whatever's on the outside of our absolute value. We need to clean up our bathroom before we just focus on the shower or our absolute value. So we cannot distribute. These are not parentheses. This is multiplied by 4 because it's touching. So we need to get rid of that multiplied by 4 by dividing by 4 on both sides. So those will eliminate, and we'll have the absolute value of n plus 9 equal to, and 20 divided by 4 is 5. Now that our absolute value here is by itself, I know that this whole piece, whatever's inside our absolute value, could be equal to a positive 5 or a negative 5. So I need to write that out 2 times here. N plus 9 equal to negative 5, and n plus 9 equal to a positive 5. Notice I did not write my 2 equations until the absolute value was by itself. So now I can solve both. All I have to do is get rid of that 9. So I have n equals, and negative 5 minus 9, they're all negatives, it's a negative 14. Same thing on this side, subtract 9. But our answer will be different because we have positive 5. So 5 minus 9, there's more negatives. 9 minus 5 would give us 4. So our answers are negative 14 and negative 4. If you're not sure, plug them back in here, get the absolute value, and then multiply it by 4, and you should get 20. Last one like this, we have multiply by negative 3 on the outside of our absolute value, and we have subtract 7. Just like we follow the order of operations, we got to get rid of our addition and subtraction first. So I'm going to add 7 to both sides. So then we have negative 3 absolute value of n plus 2 equal to, well, there's more negatives. 10 minus 7 will give us 3. And then we need this absolute value by itself, so we need to get rid of multiply by negative 3. So I'm going to divide by negative 3 on both sides. So those will eliminate. And I have n plus 2 in my absolute value, all equal to now a positive 1. Our 2 negatives made a positive. Now we have our absolute value all by itself, so we can write our 2 equations. One with this equal to the positive 1, and one equal to a negative 1. So n plus 2 equals negative 1, and n plus 2 equal to a positive. Oops, that's not a 2. N plus 2 equal to a positive 1. So solve both of these. All we have to do is get rid of that 2 or subtract 2. We have n equal to a negative, and add them all up. They're all negatives, negative 3. Same thing here, subtract 2. 1 minus 2, there's more negatives, negative 1. If you have questions on this, please let me know. Otherwise, make sure you always get the absolute value by itself before you split it up and write 2 equations.